Ever heard of a fish that lives in water hot enough to make tea?
Sounds pretty uncomfortable.
No, it's true. And it lives right here in Nevada.
No
It's
kidding.
called the Devil's Hole pupfish, and it's just one of the many unique and endangered creatures found in the Silver State. Today we're diving deep into the world of Nevada's endangered species.
Yeah, get ready to go way beyond the bright lights of the Vegas Strip.
Exactly. Nevada's home to incredible biodiversity, but sadly, many of these species are facing an uphill battle for survival.
That's right. And we're not just going to list them off. We'll uncover what makes them so special, why they're struggling, and most importantly, why their fate should matter to all of us.
We're going beyond the headlines, exploring research papers, conservation reports, and even some firsthand accounts to get the full picture.
And trust me, Nevada's more than just desert and casinos.
It's a lot more. So buckle up,
Yeah.
because we're about to take you on a journey through some of Nevada's most fascinating and fragile ecosystems.
Let's dive in.
You mentioned a fish that likes it hot.
Right. The Devil's Hole pupfish.
What's the deal with this little guy?
Well, the Devil's Hole pupfish lives in this one single isolated pool in the Meadows National Wildlife Refuge.
Okay.
But this pool, it's not just any old body of water. It's actually a window into this ancient aquifer, a massive underground reservoir. Imagine that, thousands of years old.
Wow, so this little fish is swimming around in a piece of history.
Exactly. And get this, the water temperature there is consistently around 93 degrees Fahrenheit. Way too hot for most fish, right?
Definitely.
But the Devil's Hole pupfish has evolved to thrive in these crazy conditions.
Now that is adaptation.
Right. But it also makes them incredibly vulnerable. I mean, they're so specialized to this one unique spot.
So any change to that environment could be disastrous. How many of these fish are even left?
It's not looking good. Their numbers have dropped drastically. Often, there are fewer than 100 individuals left in the whole world.
Wow, that's incredibly precarious.
It really is.
All right, so we've got a fish in a hot tub. Let's head to the mountains now. Tell me about this mysterious Sierra Nevada red fox. What makes them so hard to find?
Well, the Sierra Nevada red fox lives way up high in the Sierra Nevada mountains, and they are incredibly elusive,
Like ninjas of the mountains.
basically. Researchers are still trying to figure out just how many are left in Nevada. We have some clues, but...
But they're really good at hiding.
Exactly.
So habitat loss is a factor.
Oh, absolutely. Logging and development have taken a toll on their habitat. But there's also competition from other fox species that have moved into their territory.
So multiple pressures working against them. And we don't even fully understand the extent of the problem because they're so good at staying hidden. It makes you realize how much we still don't know about the natural world. Speaking of things we might think we know, how about the desert tortoise? I always picture them slow and steady, but are they really endangered?
Yes, unfortunately they are. While you find desert tortoises throughout the Southwest, the Mojave population specifically, those found in Nevada, are facing serious threats.
Are we?
Yeah, they are symbols of the desert, right? All tough and resilient, but they're actually losing ground.
Because of.
Well, habitat loss is a big one. Urbanization, agriculture, even things like off-road vehicles, all of it fragments their habitat.
And I'm guessing their slow life cycle doesn't help matters.
Exactly. They don't rebound quickly from these disturbances.
So it's really a race against time for them. It's heartbreaking to think that our actions are impacting something that's been around for so long.
Okay, so far we've got a fish in practically boiling water, a fox disappearing in the snow, and a tortoise struggling to survive in a rapidly changing desert. Seems like habitat loss is the biggest problem here. Any species where that's not the case.
Habitat loss is a huge problem, that's for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not always the only issue. Take the Lahan tunthroat trout, for example.
Okay, and where do we find them? They live in the lakes and rivers of northern Nevada, and they face a double whammy.
Oh, so?
Their habitat is degraded, pollution, water diversions, you name it. But on top of that, they also have to deal with intense competition from introduced species.
Other fish.
Yep. Non-native trout, brought in for recreational fishing, are outcompeting the Lahontan cutthroat for food and resources. A classic case of good intentions gone wrong.
Wow. A 1-2 punch. It really makes you think about the impact we have on these delicate ecosystems. Now, you mentioned another pupfish earlier.
Right. the Meadows pupfish.
Tell me more about that one. How's it doing?
Well, this pupfish is also found in that Meadows National Wildlife Refuge, but unlike the devil's hole pupfish, it actually lives in several different springs and streams.
So a little less isolated.
Exactly. It gives them a slightly better chance, but they're still considered endangered.
Because?
Well, their range is still limited, right? So a single event, like a drought or a contaminant spill, could wipe out a huge chunk of their population.
It's a lot of pressure. It sounds like all these species are really hanging on by a thread. So what are we doing to help them? Any reasons to be optimistic?
Absolutely. There are a lot of dedicated folks working hard to protect Nevada's endangered species.
That's good to hear.
And conservation efforts are underway for each of these species we've talked about.
So there's hope?
For the devil's hole pupfish, scientists and conservationists are very carefully managing water levels. They've even created artificial refuges.
Like backup habitats.
Exactly, just in case the devil's hole environment becomes uninhabitable.
That's incredible. What about the super secretive Sierra Nevada red fox?
Well, for the Sierra Nevada red fox, researchers are using radio collars and other tracking techniques to learn more about their movements and habitat needs. It's like a detective story.
So we can better understand how to help them.
Exactly.
Very cool. And the Lahontan cutthroat trout, with that double threat they're facing.
For them, the focus is on getting rid of those pesky invasive trout and restoring their stream habitats to a more natural state.
So improving water quality.
Yes. And removing barriers to fish migration, replanting native vegetation, you name it. It's a big job.
Sounds like it. Now, what about the desert tortoise? How do we help them?
For the tortoises, it's all about protecting the habitat they have left. We need to be smarter about land use. That means working with developers, ranchers, the public, everyone, really, to minimize our impact.
So, a multi-pronged approach for a complex problem. But, some people might ask, why should we care about a fish in a desert pool, a fox in the mountains, a tortoise in the desert? What's the big deal?
It's a good question, and it's important to remember these species aren't just isolated cases. They're actually indicators of the overall health of Nevada's ecosystem.
Like a canary in a coal mine.
Yeah, exactly like that. Each species plays a role in this intricate web of life. If we lose one, it disrupts the whole balance of the ecosystem.
And creates a ripple effect.
Precisely. And those ripple effects, well, we can't always predict what they'll be, but they're rarely good. Imagine a world where these unique creatures are just gone. It would be a less vibrant, less diverse, and ultimately a less healthy planet for all of us.
It emphasizes how interconnected everything really is.
And beyond the environmental impact, there's the ethical dimension, too.
Yeah.
Do we, as humans, have a responsibility to protect these creatures that share our planet? To make sure they don't disappear on our watch? I think we do.
Absolutely. We've only got one planet, and we need to take care of it and all its inhabitants. So Nevada is home to this incredible, unique life, but as we've seen, it's fragile. What can we do as individuals to help? Not just in Nevada, but everywhere.
Well, I think it all starts with awareness. Learn about the species in your area. What threats do they face? What organizations are working to protect them?
Do your research.
Exactly. And then support your local conservation groups. They're on the front lines.
Yeah, support your local conservation heroes. It might seem like a small step, but all those small steps add up.
They really do.
And who knows, you might even discover a fascinating creature right in your own backyard that needs your help.
Absolutely. You never know what's out there.
That's right. Well, on that note, we've reached the end of our deep dive into Nevada's endangered species. We've learned about the devil's hole pupfish, the Sierra Nevada red fox, the desert tortoise, the Lahontan cutthroat trout, and the Meadows pupfish. And we've learned about the threats they face and the ongoing efforts to protect them.
It's been a fascinating journey.
It really has. And it's a reminder that even in the most unexpected places, like a scorching desert pool or a snowy mountain peak, life finds a way.
Life is resilient.
But it's also fragile, and it needs our help. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. We hope you learned something new and are inspired to take action. Until next time, keep exploring and stay curious.
And keep learning.